Wow, I think that's all God ever wants from us. So now it gives me great, great joy to introduce our founder, our speaker, our friend, Reverend Doug Craig. Wow, he's got a really interesting title, Letting Go and Letting In. Whew. Please welcome Reverend Doug with a hearty. Welcome, Reverend Doug.
Ho, ho, ho. Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. How's everybody this wonderful day? And it's getting better every day. Yeah, just something that Russ read there. I had to snag the book because it fits right into the talk, and I'm always looking for additional information. You know how that goes, eh? Okay, so to begin with, let's start with an opening meditation treatment. So I'd like to invite you all to go within to that secret place of the Most High and become calm, still, and know that there is only one eternal life that is forever giving of itself, and that's God's life, my life, right here and right now. So I know that I am an open and receptive vessel, willing to receive the guidance, the direction, and the inspiration from that inner self, higher self, that inner spirit. And then there is also a willingness within me to release all that does not serve me anymore, all that does not serve me in any way, and all negative concepts and opinions that I've had about myself. So as we do this cleansing and become open and receptive, the Spirit guides us, directs us, and leads us to what it is we need to do in order to experience peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. So let's just take a moment and in silence look at what it is that we're willing to release today in order to make room to move forward. And so I know that I am a clean, free-flowing, open channel of God's love, energy, wisdom, kindness, and prosperity. And there are no obstructions to the operation of truth within me. So as I step forward with all this release, I am open and willing to receiving that divine guidance from the Spirit within, knowing that it'll take me into a wonderful experience and expression of this thing that I know as my life. So with that being declared, that being accepted, thanks being given, I now let it go and I let it be so, and so it is. Yeah, okay. So the theme or the talk today is called Vulnerability, Letting Go and Letting In. And the monthly theme is the power of vulnerability. Oh, that sounds a little scary, doesn't it? Being vulnerable. I know that as I was going through my formative years, being vulnerable always left us open for all kinds of things that could happen that weren't nice, because there was always a lot of scurvy dogs around that would take advantage of someone, at least in the area I was working in. And so being not open and receptive and vulnerable was a way of life. And there were very many ways to make sure that that was maintained. So moving into this, it was about learning to be more vulnerable and be more opening and be more in tune to the feelings. And so with the monthly theme, the marketing teaser they give you is letting go and letting in. Often easier said than done. Of course, it's always easier said than done. If not, everybody would be doing it the right way. The aspect of vulnerability calls us to loosen our grip and open up to the possibilities that await us. And you might say, well, I don't know of any of the possibilities that await me. Well, guess what? Join the crowd. None of us do. Because if we knew about them, we'd be doing them. Is that true? You'd be doing them, yeah. So there's all kinds of really neat things that can happen that we don't have any idea from. It's just about setting intention and getting on with it. The affirmation they give is, my willingness to be vulnerable opens myself to love, joy, sadness, heartbreak, and all the things in between, creating an expanded space to live and grow. And that is just the willingness to be able to experience yourself. As I say, it's like a Clint Eastwood movie series. You got the good, you got the bad, and you got the ugly. Okay? And if anybody tells you they don't have all that part of them somewhere within inside themselves, then they're really not honest with themselves. Because we all have a little bit of that. Anybody got a little ugly that you got about yourself? Yeah, okay. We don't need to get into details. When Russ was reading this, he said one thing. And it's so important. He says, today take one step towards your passion. Well, I don't know what my passion is. Yes, you do. What is it that you do that makes you feel really good, makes your heart sing? For me, it's teaching and speaking and stuff like that. And it doesn't have to be how you do it right now. Is your passion is what do you like to do? And there's a lot of different ways. My passion, I've always had it. I was always good at talking and explaining things. I was so good at it that I didn't go to jail a lot. Okay? And I used it that way. Now I transformed it to use it in a little bit different of a way, which is a lot more nicer and easier to deal with. So take one step toward your passion, letting go of what you think others might think, or what you think the outcome should be. First off, you have no idea what the outcome's going to be. So if you think you do, forget it. You're on the wrong track. This is where the trust comes in. Did you ever think that when I was at the height of my career in a motorcycle gang that I would end up being a college professor and a preacher and a professional Santa? Come on, get real, get serious. Who'd ever think of something like that? Not anybody that was sane, at least I didn't think so anyhow. So, and other people think, who cares what other people think? Are those other people in your mind thinking? No, only you are. I remember Jerry Malo helped me. Did anybody remember Jerry Malo? He helped me develop this idea, what I called it was my DGRA degree that we've got to develop over the years. And it's a little bit tacky, but it's don't give a rat's ass, DGRA, about what anybody says or what anybody thinks. Because it's not my business what they think. I have a hard enough time just dealing with what I think about myself. Anybody else like that? Never mind what anybody else does, eh? That's a terrible burden to take upon yourself. So that was a really good statement. It fits right into this idea of letting go and letting in. So I'm taking a course right now. I've been doing them for 40 years, so I still do them, okay? This is the third or fourth one in the last year. And Dr. Pat Campbell's doing it, and it's on visioning. And that's not visualization, it's visioning, which is a step beyond it. And it's based on a book written by Michael Beckwith called Life Visioning. He writes, all spiritual growth, now listen to this, read careful, 100% of it is about releasing or eliminating rather than attaining something, because we are already it spiritually. So you don't need to find love in your life because you can't have any more than you've already got. You can't have any more prosperity than you've already got. You can't have more of anything that you already got. And you're probably saying, well, how come I don't have it? It's not because you don't have it, it's because of what you have that's preventing it from demonstrating in the life. So it's all about letting go. Oh, I've got to tell you, that's an interesting my first real big issue I worked on over the years of letting go was my authority issues. Has anybody ever had authority issues?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, probably maybe not quite as demonstrative as mine, which I patterned for 17 years before I started working on it, and it was a number of years before I got complete. But I remember the day I got it. And I'm sitting in Customs, U.S. Customs in Toronto, waiting to go to Newark, New Jersey to do a seminar. And I remember that there was two young Marines there, and I heard them talking about how they were gonna get the next guys coming in and rip them apart. And they were really pumped up about this, and one guy comes out, he looks at me and goes into the back room, and then the other guy comes out and does that. I've got a plane to catch, so I asked the lady there, can you help me out here? These guys are busy. Sit down, I'll wait your turn. There's nobody else there, so okay. So I'm sitting down, and then I could feel myself agitation building. These young guys, authorities, and that. And then I looked at it, yeah. And so I went into action with my authority issue. I sat there and kept my mouth shut and smiled. And just observed myself what was going on. The guy come out, looked at it, went in his office, the other guy come out, talked me up, and then let me go. He had just enough time to get my bag on the plane and catch my next flight. They were holding it for me. These guys were experts. They were looking at me to say something so that they could hold me back and really give me a hard time. You think that was true? I know it was true. How do I know? Because I have authority issues. And right then and there, I got through the whole thing, and I knew I had my authority issues behind me. Ever since, I've never been bothered by it. You know, I just deal with it. So that's a really interesting, and Mary Mannon Morrissey writes a lot of great books. She does the Prosperity 1, 2, and 3 books. She said, even though you may want to move forward in your life, you may have one foot on the brakes. In order to be free, we must learn how to let go. Release the hurt, release the fear, refuse to entertain your old pain. The energy it takes to hang on to the past is holding you back from a new life. What is it that you would let go of today? And it's, you know, we got to realize there's two kinds of letting go. There's letting go of stuff out here, like that relationship that don't work, or that car that don't work, or that job that don't work. And I think we all know about that. But it's what are we hanging on to in here? That's the biggest part. Because that we haven't really looked to, and we got sacred cows. I'd like to do that, but I'm not giving that up. Anybody say, I'm not giving that up. Well, that could be holding you back. So what we want to do is look at our attitudes, our opinions, our fears, our beliefs, our judgments, any of that kind of stuff, and we got to be willing to let it go. The greatest thing that I had to do to transition from 19 years of my old life into creating a new life is I had to learn how to let the old person go. And how the old person dealt with almost all of life. And I had to recreate a new person. And meanwhile, what came forward was the skills and the talents and the abilities. Just learning to channel them in a positive way rather than being really, because I was really good at being bad. I never got caught, hardly at all, considering, okay? And to take all of that ability and channel it forward, however, being willing to let go of all the way I did things. I remember going to a board meeting when I was on the board. There was a little bit of a conflict on the board. There was one group, and then there was these two guys that were up to something. And they were coming to a meeting, and we were all up there waiting, and we're all very disturbed, and nobody knew what to do. I said, oh, it's easy, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just go down and meet him downstairs and take him in the back alley, and I'll have a little bit of a talk to him. You know, not really bad. And then they'll see things clearly, and we'll get things done. And they all stopped and looked at me and said, we can't do that. I go, oh, crap, right. I'm trying to do it differently. So that was just one example of kind of the stuff I had to recreate. I had to learn how to negotiate and be nice and compromise and be fair and play win-win. I liked it when it was just, I win. whatever else happens, happens. Because that's the way I played the game. I'm not good at it too. But, you know, you gotta change that. And to change, to create a whole new person was a real challenge. Before I really thought I had a good handle on it, was about 11 years of work. And I thought, I think I'm getting there. And the other day I was looking up and looked myself what I'm doing, the projects I'm working on, and I said, I think I'm getting there. So don't ever think that that's ever going to change. And so, what do we got to release? Blame, shame, guilt, judgment, lack, limitation, and the past and the old ways. How important is the past? Well, it's just like driving your car. You've got a rear view mirror you look through, and the windshield. Keep in mind, what does the rear view mirror do? It looks in the past. Not much there. Most of your experience is what's in the windshield. And that's what our journey's all about. You gotta remember that. Eric Butterworth said, I am receptive to the inflow and outpouring of the universe. Well, I guess that means letting in. And so one of the ways that we deal with all this release, we use spiritual tools. So some of them are forgiveness practices. And always remember, it's really easy to get to forgiving other people. It's the one in the mirror that you're looking at that's a tough one. Oh, that's hard to forgive self. And work with affirmations, gratitude practice, committed giving practices, physical movement exercises, journaling, releasing rituals, and gratitude practice. So release it. And that means releasing rituals to release stuff, and gratitude practices. So those are all of the to-dos from all of the releases. So now we're going to talk a little bit about letting in. Let in. Well, one of the things that I did, and we did this a number of years ago, we decided that we were going to eliminate toxic people in our lives. Okay, so if you're going to do that, try that on for size. Because when you make that commitment, that means some friends and family. And sometimes you have to do that to create that space. Because if not, then you take part of that toxicity, and that takes a lot of energy. And you can leave people be toxic. They'll find their own people to be toxic with. And they can have toxic parties and all kinds of stuff. And then the rest of us get to do the other stuff. So that's one of the key things to do, and to not let in. And I guess the element here about being clear about what you let in is to establish healthy boundaries and limits with people. And to make sure that you practice what my mother taught me, unconditional love. And that's learning to deal with the person and the problem by loving the person and dealing with the problem. You have to deal with the problem, or else if you don't, and you take it in, then you become part of the problem, not part of the solution. Has anybody ever been an enabler? You become part of the problem then, eh? You are part of the problem. And that's really hard because you want to help, but there's that fine line between being an enabler and being of help. Ernest Holmes said there is always an inner quiet, persistent confidence, a non-resistant but complete acceptance, an inward flowing of the stream of life, knowing that it carries me safely and surely to my destination, to the accomplishment of very good in process. So part of what we're doing in our visioning class is visioning is just taking it to the level of being open to what's beyond what you know now. Well, I don't know that. Well, that's why you're doing this, to see what is beyond what you know now. And then you'll have something coming to you that will give you what your vision is to carry you forward. And it hit me right away about 2 days later when I was walking, what it was for me. And so I've been actually working on it for the last couple of weeks. And I'm getting actually kind of excited about things again. first chapter of my book. So I actually got off there and started to write it, and also I've got a couple other irons in the fire that I'm going to work with, because part of what come to me is I've got a lot of great stuff I've learned over the years and stuff like that, and it's very valuable and will work for a lot of people my way, so I need to be able to get that out there. So I'm starting with what I know to write, so. And I'm doing it like, anybody watch Star Wars? And you know how they did Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi? And those are the three shows in the middle, there's three before, three after. I'm doing the same thing. I'm writing the first one, chapter 4 first, then 5, then 6. And they were the 3 bad years I've had that I'm writing first about. And what happened to me, and what was my learning, and how I graduated the next year into something way beyond what I'd ever dreamed of. Okay? But the initial part is really ugly. The other part's good on each of the years, but the 3 bad years is ugly. And I gotta mention too, that when I say bad year, like when in 2013 we were in Italy and I had that medical emergency and come back and did 25 days in the hospital, had major surgery, I don't count that as a bad year. That was just a bad experience. So when I'm talking about a bad year, it's about a half a dozen or more bad experiences, which really rattled my cage. So that's really exciting for me, and I'm pumped right up. And of course, I got it just about ready. I got some more stuff to do, and then I got into this issue now. Well, what about all those people that are in the centers now and read this? What the hell are they gonna think about me now? Well, I better not put that in there. Well, yeah, but that's a really good part of it. And it's pretty bad, but, so anyhow, when you get a chance to look at it, you'll understand is, I have a real issue with that, exposing that, but that's the being vulnerable part. To be able to be open for something that gives people hope and guidance, also to be open for something that'll be really good for judgment. Okay? And even some of them were the good blackmailing stories. That all flows with this idea that one of the things you have to be is not be afraid of your past. So when I went into, started teaching and got involved with the center, I had to reconcile my life and look at things. And I had to accept that I'm probably going to get blackmailed. Anybody ever think about that? Well, I had to, because I had to come up with a way that I just was going to deal with it, because I knew it would happen. And so I decided on a method, and surely enough, it did happen. It happened about 7 or 8 different times. And it's usually why students blackmail me for grades, because of my tacky background. And so all 7 or 8 times, I basically come down and finished off with the same way of ending it. I just told them to, how can I put this? Sex and travel. True story. Except for 2 groups that, yeah, it was very interesting. They said, you're gonna go to the press and the school paper with those stories? I said, those aren't very good. Let me tell you a couple other ones that are really tacky, and they're true, and then you could use those. So I told them that, their jaws dropped open, and they just turned around and walked out and never said a word, because they were way better than the stories they had. So, you know, sometimes that's what I had to be. Not many people are in a position where they have to be willing to be open and vulnerable and willing to change and have to deal with your past like that. And, you know, over the years, I still have to deal with stuff every now and again, you know. It just happens when you have a lot of experience. So, I would say to you in closing that you can go and look up this, one of the best songs that you're ever going to get with the best words in it to help you move forward in this letting go and letting in process. And it's called I Release and I Let Go. And the chorus is, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, it's only up to God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, it's only up to God. And that's Michael Bethwick's wife, Ricky Byers. So have a look at that, and that song is one of the best that you're ever going to come across, because it is so real, and even more after true today. So I go forward from here, knowing for myself and for each one that I am open and receptive to releasing that which it is that I need to release for my higher and better expression of myself in this world. And I am open and receptive to receiving that divine inspiration as what it is that I need to do to experience peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. And as the opportunities present themselves, I joyously seize them and take advantage of them, letting go of all fear, all doubt, and all negativity. And with that, I know that my life unfolds in a greater and glorious way in the experience of this peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. And I accept it, I declare it, and I know it to be so, and so it is.